The 60s, a time of revolution. Great leaders were shot down, brutal wars brought great powers to their knees, and technology made the world deadlier and smaller than it ever was before. Radicals, sometimes leftist, challenged the authority, sometimes winning, sometimes losing. Communism was a big thing this decade, and of course there was a Cold War with Russia. I am of course referring to the 1860s. What did you think I was talking about? Seriously though, the 1860s was a pretty hectic decade. You have the American Civil War and Reconstruction. Italy is finally unified, with Germany not too far behind. Napoleon III's Second Empire in France begins to unravel, paving the way for the first real democracy in that country in 1871. And you have a lot of new science and technology, such as the Transcontinental Railroad in the United States, the theory of electromagnetism, and dynamite. And in Japan in 1868, a revolution brings an end to the dynasty that had ruled that country for centuries.
But first, what was Japan like beforehand, under the Tokugawa shogunate? Well, for starters, there weren't any of those guys. After over a century of anarchy, Tokugawa Ieyasu, remember, the family name goes first here, had united all of Japan and defeated his last major opposition in 1600. He and his descendants would go on to rule Japan. But wait.
What about the emperor? Shouldn't he rule Japan? Well, Japanese emperors are pretty unique. Could we get a picture of him?
No. Hell no. That's Chinese. Thank you.
Anyway, in Japanese history, emperors haven't held real power since the 1100s. The name of the game has always been to rule in the name of the emperor, rather than to become the emperor. For this reason, the imperial line goes back somewhere between 2,000 and over 2,500 years. Instead, we have dynasties of shoguns, or military leaders, holding the real power in Japan after receiving it from the emperor. One other important thing. For most of this era, Japan was isolationist. With a few exceptions, there was no foreign trade, no travel, and no contact. Mom, stop bothering me! I'm in isolation! You wouldn't understand.
All of this was thrown into chaos with the arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry in 1853. Perry, under orders from the United States, and with the capital city Edo, now called Tokyo, at gunpoint, forcibly ended Japan's isolation with an extremely humiliating and unequal treaty.
No, I'm not trading you my foil mythic rare Jace the Mind Sculptor. Give me back my cards, Matt!
Tra-la-la!
This was an utter disaster for the shogunate, the beginning of the end. After the United States, the European powers began to demand treaties, further violating Japanese sovereignty. Japan was humiliated, economically devastated, and betrayed. Why betrayed, you might ask? Well, the idea behind that isolationist policy all those centuries ago was for Japan to be kept safe from foreign encroachment. Then keep in mind that the office of shogun and his military government, or bakufu, was created over 1,000 years ago in the Heian period to fight against foreigners, or barbarians as they were also called. And in the years following the Matthew Perry incident, heritage was on the public's mind.
Damn it, Bakufu, you had one job! The stage is set for the Meiji Restoration. It's the late 1860s. Remember what I said about the shogun ruling in the emperor's name? Well, now a lot of other people, mainly samurai nobles, are blaming the shogun for everything that's gone wrong, and for stealing the emperor's rightful authority. So what did they do? Revolt. The domain of Choshu, later joined by Satsuma, declared multiple open rebellions against the government in Edo. During the final battle in 1868, they unveiled the imperial banner as their side's flag, probably one of the greatest psychological plays ever. Needless to say, the shogun's forces scattered, and in April of that year, the final Tokugawa shogun formally ceded power to the Emperor Meiji and his apparent associates, hence the Meiji Restoration. Wait, that piece doesn't do that. So I can be in charge, right?
No, I'm in charge.
No, I think I should be in charge.
I'm the emperor.
He says that I can be in charge. Yeah, here's the thing. Meiji was 13 at the time. He was far too young to rule. The other thing, he never did. Don't get me wrong. He lived until 1912, presiding over the transformation of Japan into a modern industrial state. But it wasn't because of him. It was those rebels in Choshu and Satsuma and their successors who controlled Japan. The Meiji Restoration was a power grab and a publicity stunt, but a restoration in name only. This would continue until the end of World War II, into the reign of Meiji's grandson, Hirohito. Following the war, Japan became a republic, and the emperor a figurehead, much like the Queen of England is today. So that was the Meiji Restoration, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a thing or two. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Until next time, sayonara.